But first, me want wall. President Trump tweeted his apparent approval of the congressional compromise that would avert another government shutdown. But while he seemed to acknowledge that its $1.375 billion is far short of $5.7 billion that he's asked for, he's trying to frame it as a political win. He tweeted last night was just presented the concept and parameters of the border security deal by hardworking Senator Richard Shelby, looking over all aspects, knowing that this will be hooked up with a lot of money from other sources. We'll be getting almost $23 billion for border security. Regardless of wall money, it's being built as we speak. Plus, I want to thank all Republicans for the work you have done with dealing with the radical left on border security. Not an easy task, but the wall is being built and will be a great achievement and contributor toward life and safety within our country. A White House official told NBC News earlier Tuesday that even if Trump signs off on the agreement to keep the government open, other options were on the table to build a more substantial barrier. Yesterday, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and Judiciary Committee Chairman Lindsey Graham said Trump will close the gap in funding for the wall, which the president has long said Mexico would pay for. And he'd do that by using his presidential powers.
I hope he signs the bill. And second, I think he ought to feel free to use whatever tools he can legally use to enhance his effort to secure the borders.
As to the money for the barrier, if he can use it on steel barriers like he's been talking about, I would say that's overall a pretty good deal. And he'll make up the difference between 1.375 and 5.7 through executive action.
Because, I mean, you know, as we know, Willie Geist, if you read your Constitution, all funding begins, of course, with the legislative branch and also the executive branch when the executive branch can't get the legislative branch to agree to give them the funding they need. Actually, what Lindsey Graham just said, again, unconstitutional. What Mitch McConnell is suggesting, unconstitutional. But this whole thing doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, does it? Hey, if Donald Trump could have gotten $23 billion for his wall, then why did he shut down the government for as long as he shut down the government and watch his approval ratings sink 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points? He can't get the $23 billion. And if he tries to, that's going to be overturned by the Supreme Court. But I guess we should just be happy the government is going to stay open and the president is looking for a fig leaf. But if I were Donald Trump, the person I would be looking for is a person who actually gave me the advice to not take the $20 billion from Congress last year when they were actually willing to give the President of the United States $20 billion when he was holding his strongest hand. But they said, no, don't take that money. So because of that person in the White House, whoever it is, he's gone from getting $21, $22, $23 billion for border security to getting $1.3 billion for border security. The art of the steal from Democrats. They had just, I mean, they have snatched victory from the jaws of defeat.
Yeah, the art of the deal in this case involves letting Ann Coulter tell you what to do back in December to walk away from a pretty good deal, shut down the government, watch your approval ratings go in the tank, and eventually sign on to a deal that gets you less money for the wall than you could have had December. Forget the $5.7 billion. And now Ann Coulter actually is criticizing the president again. So stay tuned. She writes this in a tweet. Trump talks a good game on the border wall, but it's increasingly clear he's afraid to fight for it. Call this his yellow New Deal. So, Elise, we'll see if the president responds this time to conservative criticism the way he did back in December.
Donald Trump is so sensitive to any criticism from his brain trust of cable news advisors that, you know, it wouldn't be unthinkable to see Donald Trump say, I don't know, this just isn't good enough, and upend everything at the last minute just because he is solely driven by what people are saying about him at any given moment.
And Joe, remember Sean Hannity said 2 nights ago it was a garbage compromise. That's his money line there.
Yeah, garbage compromise. And Mike Barnicle, chances are good the president can get away with this. We saw the other night all those people in El Paso applauding and jumping to their feet when Donald Trump said, "We're already building the wall. Go to the Rio Grande, check it out." I mean, they're in an alternative reality anyway. So, I mean, we've had the president lying to his supporters for 2 years now, saying that he's building the wall when no building has begun. So he'll just take this. He'll keep lying. They'll still be supporting him. So what will it matter?
Well, you know, the sad and dangerous thing here, Joe, is I truly believe that Donald Trump believes he is building a wall. I think he really believes that when in fact he's not. The other sad aspect of this is, and you just pointed it out, is you can't help but thinking to yourself as President Trump sits around trying to figure out where he's going to get this extra money, can he get this extra money, surrounded by his advisors. You have flashbacks in your mind. You think about other past presidents sitting around a table with their advisors. So you think about JFK during the Cuban Missile Crisis, or FDR during multiple times in World War II, Harry Truman, George Bush, stuff like that. And here we have Stephen Miller and, you know, assorted other people, maybe 2 or 3 other people, Jared Kushner, sitting around advising the President of the United States, and they are wrong at every single turn.
The least experienced group of White House hands in the history of the White House. There's just no doubt about it. And you see it every day with the bad decisions that are being made. Elise, I've got a question for you.
Okay.
You come from my part of the country. My ideology, you're conservative / libertarian. Those people in the crowds, when Donald Trump tells them that he's building a wall and that they've been building a wall, go to the Rio Grande, check it out. Do they know that he's a liar? Like, do they know that he is lying to them? I mean, they're not that stupid. You know they're not that stupid. They have to know that no wall is being built when he keeps telling them that he's building the wall. Like, by the way, and if he's building the wall, then why are they holding signs that say, build that wall? Like, do they know that he's a liar, but they don't care? It's just a great show, and he's not, you know, the lefty Democrats or the lefty members of the press.
Joe, I think you nail it when you say it's a great show. That's what most Trump supporters are showing up to watch the show, and they're there, they're taking it in, they're listening. And certainly there are some people there who believe what Donald Trump is saying, but over the past 2 years doing research with the Ashcroft in America Project and going around and doing focus groups among so many different segments of the electorate, it is surprising to me how frequently you hear from Donald Trump's strongest supporters that they know he's not going to build the wall, but they like that he's trying, they like that he's fighting, and they have no reasonable expectation that, yeah, the wall is actually going to happen, or even think that it's totally necessary. They just wanted to see a stronger stance on border security.
Well, it's also a branding exercise. I mean, remember the Trump steaks that were really just from the butcher down the street in Palm Beach? Or Trump water, or anything that he says is the best product in the world. This is his wall. It's a lie. Just like the steaks weren't Trump steaks. And the worry is, though, that this is leading Americans down a path, especially
But
those
again,
who are
30
just... Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, but again, 39% of Americans still support him when they know
there were a lot of people that think the steaks were real.
Eddie, Eddie, is it symbolic of something much bigger? Is that wall and the fact that he's fighting for a wall and saying he's building a wall when they know that he is lying?
Right.
Is that just him saying in a veiled way what he said outright on Twitter, which is we got to keep those people from Latin America, we've got to keep those brown people out of America. And when I say build that wall, I'm not building the wall, but you know what I really mean.
Right, Joe, I think you're absolutely right in this regard.
Yes.
It's a monument to hatred. It's a monument to fear. It's a monument to the changing demographics of the country. It has little to do with the question of safety. It has little to do with the question of American jobs. It's predicated upon a lie, as you've said over and over and over again, and this is what makes it bizarre. We're compromising based upon something that's just simply not true. we're spending money based upon something that's simply not true. And the Democrats are negotiating on the basis of something that's just negotiating about something that's not true. And so it's bizarre that we find ourselves in this moment.
Yeah, but Eddie, I mean, you say Democrats are negotiating on this, so they'll spend the $1.3 billion fixing up parts of the fence that are already there that need repair. But you got to say, Donald Trump starts at $20 billion.
Right.
They're going to give him $20 billion last year. Then he wants 5.7. Nancy Pelosi says, I'll give you 1.6. And in the deal, Nancy's giving him 1.3. That's pretty good negotiating by the Democrats.
Right. I mean, it is, but it's the equivalent of a child throwing a temper tantrum because they're in Toys R Us and they wanted the big toy, and we just give them the little car, right? So it's still, we're still rewarding the temper tantrum in some ways.
No. You got somebody throwing a temper tantrum in the aisle, and the parent turns around and says, you know what? You can keep doing that if you want to, but I'm going to the car. You're going to have a long walk home, sonny boy, if you don't follow me. That's what Nancy Pelosi just did to Donald Trump. And there is $1.3 billion in repairs that they can make for existing structures along the border. So
right.
it's, you know, it's not like Donald Trump won anything here. In fact, I mean, he just got absolutely hammered by Democratic negotiators.
And Mika, he's talking about reprogramming authority. That means reprogramming money from certain departments and moving it to others. And he said, I'm going to move things around and taking budget money from, quote, far less important areas to make up the shortfall in the wall funding. What does that mean? What are those areas? What does it mean to be far less important in our country?
It all seems racist. Sorry.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.